Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, welcome. I'm Jasmine, but you can call me Maymay. So for today's video, I'm gonna kind of make it a mix between my manga haul of October 2023 plus my manga reads, considering that everything in my manga haul I've already read, and I read during the month of October. So yeah. And I'm also going to be featuring some series that I've read that I borrowed from my public library. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get started. So to start off this video, I'm going to be talking about my completed series that I have the final volumes for. And yeah, we'll start off with Fire Force volume 34. And just like that, Fire Force has ended. But fear not, the story does continue with Soul Eater. So if you're interested in continuing, I mean, it's not like a continual series, but it just follows like years and years and years after Fire Force. So if you really were interested, you could check out Soul Eater. And I'm not gonna lie, I love the way that Fire Force wrapped up. And I loved seeing all the mini cameos of all my favorite characters in Soul Eater, like Death the Kid, Black Star, Soul, and Maka. And I feel like with completing Fire Force, I can really fully immerse myself in the story of Soul Eater. And I'm just really happy to have this completed series. And you know, it's really nice because at the end of this series, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but it does introduce, I'm not gonna say a concept, but it introduces something that is later on featured in Soul Eater to really kind of connect them together. And if you've read both Soul Eater and Fire Force, I'm pretty sure you'll know what I mean. But for those of you that have yet to read Soul Eater, I really recommend that you do. It's such a good series, and just like Fire Force, it's amazing. But yeah. The next final volume I have is volume 9 of My Love Mixup. Honestly, I can't believe this series is really over. Like, as much as I wish the story could have continued to show their college life and later on their adult life, I wasn't necessarily unsatisfied with the ending. I really enjoyed it, and I know there were so many people that felt that it was quite rushed, and to me personally, it didn't feel like it was rushed in any way. I do wish that they kind of showed like a little snippet of like their college life and later on their adult life, you know, whether or not they decided to, you know, get married or to have kids. But you know, I'm fine with the way that it ended. I was satisfied with it. Honestly, I can't wait to do a reread down the line, and yeah, and I highly recommend the series to you guys. And yeah, and I really love how beautiful the cover is. It literally screams final volume. I don't know if anyone else like feels the same way, but when I look at this volume cover, I'm just like, man, this really does signify the end for this series. And yeah. The next volume I got in the month of October was My Happy Marriage Volume 4. And it sort of continues a little bit with the anime. So it was basically just a reread for me, at least, or should I say a recap of the anime. And honestly, I love Mio so much. She's so precious, and you know, there's times where I understand completely that she avoids talking about her feelings because she doesn't trust that someone will actually care. But at the very same time, it's very frustrating because you could clearly see that she's trying to trust Kyoka, and he's really trying to be there for her, and he really cares for her. And I know it's very hard because, you know, when you're not used to people caring about you, and to see someone care about you all of a sudden, it almost doesn't feel authentic. It almost doesn't feel like you're really ready to trust and completely, you know, fall in their arms in like a trust fall or anything like that. But I feel like eventually she will trust him at her own pace. And I've seen the anime, so I can't wait to see it physically in my hands in the manga format, the rest of the story. So yeah, I really enjoyed this read, and the art is so beautiful, the characters are so beautiful, and I just love it, and I recommend it. And I do want to get into the light novels, but like I've said many times before, it's a rabbit hole that I'm not really sure I'm ready to fall down in. But yeah, My Happy Marriage Volume 4. So now I'll be moving on to my Viz volumes, including, Viz Signature, Shoujo Beat, Shonen Jump. And to start that off, I'm gonna be showing you guys Imakoi Volume 7. So Volume 6 and 7 are like my favorite volumes in this series. Noda and Miria are my favorite couple and characters. I love Yagyu and Satomi, but Noda and Miria are my number ones. They sort of remind me a bit of Hanako and Taro from Wotakoi. They're just so cute together, and their dynamic is so I don't know what it is about these like types of characters where they're just like, obviously they're lovey-dovey, but at the same time they can be sarcastic with one another and play around with each other. And I think I really like that type of relationship. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Yagyu and Satomi's relationship, like where they're all lovey-dovey and all that stuff, but I feel like I love some sarcasm, I love some sass between two people who clearly love each other. And in volume 6 and 7, you totally get that from this couple right here, and I loved it. And this cover has to be by far my favorite cover of the entire series. I'm so sorry for those of you that love Yagyu and Satomi. I just love these characters so much more. And I honestly can't wait for the next volume to come out. Next, I'll be talking about The King's Beast Volume 11. And I need Rangetsu and Tenyo to be together. Like, why must there be so much discrimination against Ajin? Like, hopefully Tenyo can succeed in changing the world little by little, considering he will possibly be the next emperor. But to see how the female Ajin are treated in this world, it's so heartbreaking. And you could tell, like, just how angry, like, how much more angry Rangetsu's, like, anger gets to the entire world of how they're, like, being treated. And you can honestly see her frustration. And, yeah, I really hope, like, there's some change to this series. But yeah, I'm really loving this series so much, and I highly recommend it to everybody. And yeah, I can't wait until the next volume comes out. These covers are absolutely stunning and beautiful, just like the story, just like the characters. I can't wait to keep getting into it. And yeah, so the next series I'll be talking about is Volume 2 of Like a Butterfly. So progress is being made. Sweden manages to ask Kawasumi out on a festival date, and they're just so precious. And I want to know why Kawasumi has reservations when it comes to Sweden, but you can honestly tell that he cares for her and possibly likes her. I just feel like this is such a cute series. Of course, Sue Morishita has done it again, and I know a lot of people, compare it a lot to A Sign of Affection, and don't get me wrong, A Sign of Affection is my number one out of all of Sue Morishita's works, but I feel like this is just as good. I love it. And like I've said so many times to my mutuals, it's nothing out of this world, but it is a cute read. And since I am reading this for the very first time, I really don't know what's happening, so I'm pretty much just going along with the series and just enjoying it as I go. And yeah, I can't wait to continue with the series. I do know that it is complete with 12 volumes, so it's not that much of a commitment to collect, and it's already completed, so it's not like we have to wait like so long for the releases. They'll just come as they come. And yeah, next I'll be talking about Spy Family Volume 10 with little baby Lloyd. And oh my god, this series has finally reached Volume 10. Like, I remember when I couldn't even find Volume 3 anywhere in stores because it was so out of stock everywhere. And it's been such a while since I started collecting the series. and the anime has been going great. It was very interesting to see a bit of Twilight's past. I'm curious to know what his name was. They really kept censoring it, so it really got me like curious. And the biggest thing of this volume was, and I'm just gonna go into a spoiler real quick, Yor meets Damien's mother, and it was so unexpected. Like, I never really thought we were gonna meet anybody else from Damien's family besides just the little snippets we see of his dad. I have no idea what's gonna happen now, and I really look forward to reading the rest of the volumes as they come out. Hopefully they don't come out so slowly, but yeah. Next, I'll be getting into my favorite Shonen Jump, well, one of my favorite Shonen Jump series, Dandan, Volume 5. So, as you all know, Dandan is, it's so funny, it's so amazing. I love it so much. I love the plot. I love the characters. You know, Okaran, Momo, Saiko, Gigi, Aida, and even Turbo Granny. Like, I'm slowly, like, loving her. She's so funny. The art is so sleek and awesome, but geez, the cliffhanger at the end of this volume, like, what's going to happen? It really just kind of, it just really left me like, oh my god, now I have to wait for the next volume. Like, come on now. But it's very exciting to see like new characters kind of gaining a new ability and being able to really be a part of this world, and I really love it, and I really want to continue it. I'm trying to keep myself from reading it online and just reading it as I go, like with the physical volumes. But then again, maybe I'll change my mind about that later, but we'll see. But for now, I'm just gonna stick to reading the physicals as they come out. I think I might just collect a few before I read it, but then I always have the habit of reading it right as I get it, so we'll see how that works out for me. But yeah, I will definitely try to collect more of the volumes so that I can sort of binge read it, so that I can have more of an idea of what's going on. But then again, we'll see how it goes when I get a volume in the mail and I decide to just read it on the spot. But yeah. Next, I got volume 2 of Akan Banashi, and things are heating up with the Karaku Cup, and also with Akane having to decide what she wants to do after high school, like in career-wise, because, you know, in this time right now, like in high school, I think it's about when it's your second year of high school, you start to decide what your career plan is and what your career path is. And it's just so beautiful to see her stand her ground and to continue making Rakugo her path in life. And when it came to my favorite senior apprentices, it was only Kyuji and Guriko, but this volume really made me appreciate and respect Koguma. Like, he's very mysterious, and this is Koguma right here. He's very mysterious. You would not think it by just looking at him, but he's an amazing Rakugo. Kaisei acknowledging Akane is awesome. It goes to show how amazing Akane is. She really is growing, and I'm so here for it and so looking forward to the rest of the volumes. Like, if you haven't gotten into the series, please do. There are currently only 2 volumes out here in the US and I believe in the UK, but don't quote me on that. I'm not really sure about release dates anywhere else besides here where I'm at. But yeah, currently 2 volumes out right now, and not that big of a commitment yet. I don't know how long the series is gonna be or how long it is now, but I'm really enjoying this ride, and yes, I'm enjoying it. The next thing I picked up and read in the month of October was volume 8 of Kaiju No. 8. It's so crazy to finally say that. There have been so many times where the past volumes I would just get confused, because since the name is Kaiju No. 8, I always, I would always assume, like, I would always mistakenly say volume 8, and finally now I can say volume 8 without getting all mixed up. And this volume just pretty much revolved around the growth of both Reno and Hikaru, and I really feel like this volume, this series is phenomenal. Everything is kicking off. And also, Kafka's going to get training from Hoshino. Like, how badass is he going to get after that? I highly recommend this series. And also, can I just mention how heartbreaking it was to see Captain Ogata's flashback and seeing his sense of responsibility, since out of everybody he's known, he's the one that has survived for so long. Like, it's just so heartbreaking to see backstories like that when most of your friends have already been gone from the world for so long and you're still the one left behind, and now you have this sense of responsibility for the future. Like it's heartbreaking. Okay, you guys, it's very heartbreaking, and I can't even imagine what goes on in his mind as he sees his past comrades in the generation now. And I can't wait to continue the series. I really can't. Next, I read Insomniacs After School Volume 3. There were about 2 quotes that really stuck out to me as I read this. And the first quote is, "Flaws are just talents that have not yet been put to good use." And the second quote is, "I get dizzy in crowds and all the excitement makes me nervous, but tonight made me realize I can feel excitement too." And I feel like that quote really hits me because when it comes to me as an introvert, I don't like crowds. I don't like being surrounded by many people. I like to just kind of keep to myself, keep to the silence, and seeing that Nakami kind of feels that same way, but he's coming to realize that when he has a group of friends, he could feel that excitement and not feel nervous, not feel dizzy. And I can really relate to that. Like, my social circle is very small and I tend to like it that way. I don't like being around other people that I don't necessarily know or that I'm not comfortable with, because I really feel like I can't be myself. I just feel suffocated, and I really related to that. And honestly, I love Magari and Nakami so much. They're both so adorable and precious. We get to learn a little bit on why Magari deals with insomnia. It's so heartbreaking seeing a strong character really take a moment to be vulnerable, because they never seem to get that chance, or they don't feel like they can be vulnerable. Like, they always need to be strong, which is so heartbreaking because you just want to tell them, like, oh, you can be vulnerable, just be vulnerable, And pretty much this volume was just a recap of everything that I saw in the anime, which I highly recommend you do. If you don't want to get into the manga series, please get into the anime series. It's so good. The animation is so beautiful, the music, the voice actors, it's just overall amazing, and I recommend both the manga and the anime, so please do check that out. The next thing I got in my manga haul and I've read were volumes 8 and 9 of Blue Lock. And I'm loving this. It's basically a recap of what I've seen in the anime, so it's not really much new things for me. But I did notice, and as everybody else has noticed, this cover is so glossy, like, compared to all the previous volumes. I wonder if they're going to continue it like that, but I guess we'll see. Knowing Kodansha and their quality inconsistency, we'll have to see. But I really do love the glossy finish much more than the matte. But yeah, and honestly, I got these so close to each other because I kind of held off with picking up volume 8 until I saw it at Target, and I was like, let me just get it, since it's much more cheaper and it's not retail price, which is always good when you're like buying manga. You always want to get something at a cheaper price, because retail price, it's so expensive, and it's just too expensive. But like I said, it's all basically a recap of what I've seen from the anime, and oh my god, it was so great to see baby Bachira again. He's so adorable, and it upsets me to see that kids can be so cruel to him, like trying to make it seem like it's his fault that they couldn't really keep up, which is not really nice to say, but I mean, like, if you like want to be able to keep up with him, you have to, like, especially if you enjoy soccer so much, you need to really put in the work. And it's just like with anything in life, if you want to get good at it, if you want to feel like you're not being left behind, you gotta work hard on it, especially if you really love it so much. And if you don't really enjoy it as much as you did, then it's up to you to be like, okay, you know what, I don't enjoy it and I'm just gonna get out of it, But you know, Bachira wasn't necessarily trying to get a big head about it. You know, he was just playing soccer the way that he wants to play soccer, and these kids were just making him feel bad and making him feel like he's just a monster, you know, basically. And it's really nice to finally be able to see Bachira kind of just find the Asagi and everybody in Blue Lock so that he can just be himself and play the soccer that he wants to play. And I really enjoy it, you know. And yeah. Next, I got and read Tokyo Revengers Omnibus 7, which contains volumes 13 and 14. And basically this omnibus ended where the anime started, the new season. And this series is so painful to read. Like, I get so attached to many of the characters, so it's especially hard to see them die off. And it's not necessarily a spoiler because everybody knows about Tokyo Revengers, how it's just basically characters dying, you know, and just trying to go back in time and fix all of that. And they're just all so precious and amazing. And this new season, to like where this manga leaves off of, it started out so action-packed, and I can't wait to keep getting into it. It is new material in the anime, so I really don't know what's going to happen, so I'm just basically reading that and then having a recap with the volumes. And yeah, can't wait to get more into the series. And can we just admire the beautiful cover in the green? Like, it's just so beautiful. I'm so sorry that it's at an angle, you guys. I'm just trying different things, especially when I'm showcasing my manga reads and manga hauls. So yeah. Now moving on to my Yen Press pickups and reads, I have volume 10 of the case study of Vanitas. And finally, the conclusion to this arc has finally come out. We did see the conclusion of the arc in the anime, but it's basically been a while since that episode came out, and it's been like almost a whole year, or at least I think it sure feels like it, since volume 9 came out. And most of what I read was a recap of what was shown in the anime. Like I said, I've said it once and I'll say it again, Vanitas and Noe are amazing, and I love them both. I love the bond that they have with each other. Like, I don't know, I just have something with characters that, you know, constantly bicker and have sarcasm but clearly care for one another. And you definitely get that a lot in this series, especially between Vanitas and Noe. And it's always such a good read, and the art is so beautiful, especially the art when it's animated. So I highly recommend, whether you want to get into the anime or the manga, I overall recommend this series to everyone. But yeah, it was really great to have a continuation and sort of like a conclusion, like in manga format, so that if I really feel like it, I can just go back and just binge read the entire thing. And yeah. Next, I picked up a volume 9 of Sasaki and Miano, plus Sasaki and Miano, the official comic anthology. And I can never get enough of the series. I have watched the movie a couple days ago, and the butterflies that this series gives me is absolutely insane. I love the love that Sasaki and Miano have for each other, and the covers and the art is amazing, and I just really want to get into more things that involve this series. I just love it, which is why I got the official comic anthology. It's just also really amazing to see so many mangaka show their love for the series, and I really need to get the series of Hirano and Kagiura. I just really need to get into it. I need to get more into this world. The characters, they're so precious. And I feel like with this anthology, it really made me curious of Hirano and Kagiura, and I can't wait to get into that. And yeah. Next, I read Kon Generic Romance, volume 5, and yet another amazing volume. You'll literally hear me say this about every volume that I read, every series that I read, but like, there's still so much mystery surrounding Kowloon, and it was very nice to see a bit of Yaomei's past. She's an amazing person, and I love her, and I feel like she needs to be protected at all costs. And Seriously, what was up with the ending of the volumes? What is going on with these volumes leaving off on cliffhangers? It just leaves like so much mystery, especially behind Kowloon. Like, also, why was Yao Mei able to see her past self? Why was there an earthquake that some people felt and that some people didn't feel? Like, what is the overall mystery? And I'm just so looking forward to, like, it's kept me intrigued. I know many people who have read the series are like, oh well, there's nothing answered, you know, I'm just gonna unhaul it. But I feel like with me, the fact that there's so much mystery, it just keeps pulling me in and dragging me in, and I just need to know. And I know I could read it online and just read further, but I feel like I would much rather just read the series as they come out and just slowly get to the answer. I'm not necessarily in a rush to find out, you know. Obviously, when I finished this volume, I read it a second time and I was like, oh my god, I just want the answer. I just want the answer to this mystery. And yeah, it's a really good series and I recommend it. The art is so beautiful, the concept is beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all the answered questions that I have. Well, I'm looking forward to getting my questions answered, should I say. But yeah. Next, I read volume 1 of Bocchi the Rock, and my expectations were pretty average when it came to the series, but I really loved this read. I could really relate to the social anxiety that Bocchi felt. Like, when she's alone, she's able to fully be herself without any anxiety, without any, you know, reservations. But like, once she's about to show her potential to others, she ends up freezing up and freaking out, and it's such a deep insecurity that I can really relate to. Like, I can't wait to continue reading her journey to see how much she opens up, because during this volume you can kind of see that she kind of opens up to like her small little group of friends and even gets a job, and you know, she's really making those steps to really getting out of her social anxiety and really able to enjoy music the way that she really wants to, besides just being alone in a room in front of a camera and just being able to let loose. Like, she's able to kind of let loose in front of other people slowly now. And I really love that type of growth, you know. And the first volume really got me into watching the anime, and it's so cute. The voice actors, the music, like just being able to hear the music, because you know, obviously in manga you can't hear the music, so you kind of have to stick with your imagination to how the music sounds. So to be able to watch the anime and kind of get the sense of what the music sounds like, of what the colors of the scene look like, you really just fall in love with the series all over again. And I can't wait to continue reading this series so much. I do wish that the volumes were a little thicker. At least I'm hoping that future volumes will be a little thicker. This one was rather thin, but I really took my time with it, so it wasn't that much of a quick read. But yeah, I look forward to continuing the series, and I highly recommend it. The next thing I got and read for this month is not actually a manga series, but rather a webtoon series called Lower Olympus, Volume 5. And this volume had an amazing twist at the very end. Like, the next volume won't even be out until the next year, so I'm just curious at what will happen to Persephone and her mother Demeter. Like, will they be alright? And also, can we admire how beautiful this cover is and the color of this volume? The story is really feels like it's starting now. It's really kicking off, and luckily, if I wanted to read more, I can go to webtoon, but I think I'll just stick to reading the physical volumes, and I am so looking forward to it. And the physical hardback covers are so beautiful. I can't wait to get the next volume. It really features Persephone and Hades in like a library setting, so I really do want to get that one because it's so beautiful, and I really feel like it's the cover for me. But yeah, I can't wait to get into that one. Next up, I picked up the TV guide for My Dress Up Darling from Kinokuniya. And it wasn't until I featured it on my Instagram that my mutuals were like, oh my god, like there's gonna be an English version of this, and I was like, are you serious right now? Like, how did I not know that? And I looked it up, and sure enough, we will have an English version. I'm kind of hesitant on whether or not I'll be getting the English one. I do want to try to practice Japanese with these TV guides, but if there's going to be an option for like an English release and I could be able to read it, then I feel like I might get the English one. But the English one doesn't necessarily come out until next summer, so we'll have to see how I feel about it, and we'll see if I get into it or not. But yeah. Next, I'll be talking to you guys about the things that I've read that I borrowed from my public library. And the first thing that I read that month was Witch Hat Atelier Volume 1. And from page 1, I was immediately drawn to the amazing artwork. And Coco is kind, caring, and full of curiosity. And this series really reminds me of a Studio Ghibli film, and maybe a little bit of Harry Potter. I just love that Coco is fascinated with magic, but does end up thinking differently after an unfortunate event. But I'm really looking forward to seeing her find her way with her own way with magic. And can we just say, Master Keyfree is handsome as heck, but what is he hiding? He really kind of feels like, in most panels I was just like, man, this guy's kind of sus. Like, is he really a good person? Or I was getting like massive Shigure vibes from, you know, Fruits Basket. Like, I was getting such vibes like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if by some chance the voice actor for Master Keyfree is the same voice actor for Shigure. Like, and it's the same voice actor for Gojo as well, from JJK. So it would be so cool. Like, when I was reading the panels with Master Keyfree in it, I was just like, I could totally hear Gojo and Shigure's voice right now. Like, I can really hear it. And the cliffhanger at the end, like, I was left thinking, like, did what happened to Coco, can it really be considered a coincidence? And it really drew me in. I can't wait to get more into this series. I know it's about, I think currently there are 11 volumes, so I'm still a very long way, considering this, I don't have any of this series physically in my hands. But I really do want to get into this series, and I really hope so that I get into it soon. But yeah. Next, I read, and I'm sure this is probably a hot take, but I read Kaguya-sama Love is War Volume 1. And to be honest, I didn't get past page 22, which is pretty much the first chapter. I just couldn't get into the series. Like, the characters didn't intrigue me. All I kept thinking was, oh my god, is this how the entire series is gonna be? Like, I just couldn't get into it. And I really wanted to, because it's such a hyped up series and many of my mutuals have recommended it to me. So I don't know, I think I might just try the anime. Maybe I'll like it better than the manga series, but we'll definitely have to see about that. And yeah, I guess we'll have to see about that. Next, I read I Hear the Sunspot Volume 1 and 2, which is the theory of happiness. And I love the way Taichi and Kohei met. Like, it's with Taichi literally falling from the sky. That was so hilarious. I was just like, oh my god. Like, I can't believe it took me this long to get into this series. I found the series to be such a realistic read. I have said so many times before, I love series that help provide a new perspective for me, since I am an able-bodied individual, both, you know, physically, you know, with my eyesight, my hearing, you know. So I never really have to think about most things when it comes to hearing loss. I honestly can't wait to add this to my collection. I love the pacing of the romance. It doesn't move quickly, but it doesn't drag either. It just feels like a very smooth transition into the series, which I really love. You know, obviously if it dragged on too much, I'm gonna get, okay, like, we need to get some development here. We need to get some progress, you know. but I really feel like the development and the progress really moves smoothly, and it doesn't leave me like, oh my god, like this needs to hurry up, you know. But yeah, I definitely look forward to getting this series into my collection. Hopefully one day. We'll have to see when. I don't know when that'll happen, but hopefully soon, fingers crossed. And yeah, I highly recommend this series as well. If you haven't gotten into it, please get into it. Next, I got into volume 1 of A Man and His Cat. And cats. I love that this manga revolves around Fukumaru, which is the cat, and Kanda, who is the man. It really made me tear up with all the beautiful moments. It especially angered me when people would call Fukumaru ugly. Like, he is not ugly, you guys. He is cute and fluffy and plump. Like, I would love a cat that looks like Fukumaru, like, honestly. And like, I can't wait to continue the story. I definitely feel like this is gonna be such a sad read from time to time, and I don't know if I'm ready for that, but I really do love this series and I really want to get into it more. I can't wait to get into it more, and I will definitely be adding this to my collection one day. I guarantee it will be part of my collection. Next, I read Blank Canvas, My So-Called Artist Journey, Volume 1. And I have had my eye on this series for a while now. Many of my mutuals and favorite manga tubers have said that if I like Blue Period, which I do, that I should give this series a try. And I found it so hilarious and informative. By far my favorite is her sensei, who is a bamboo sword wielding taskmaster, as they've said in the manga. I just love that he's so strict but kind at the same time. He really cares so much, and I feel like as a first timer with Akiko Higashimura's sensei's work, like, I feel like this is a good start to getting into her series. I do know that there's also Princess Jellyfish and Tokyo Tareba Girls, which I really do want to get into, hopefully down the line, but I first want to get into this series fully. I do know that it's complete with 5 volumes, and I'm really enjoying it, and I feel like I said, it's very realistic and informative because of, since it is an it's like basically an autobiography of this mangaka's life, so it's much more realistic, much more informative, as if, like, let's say if you were to read Blue Period, it's not that, I mean, it's informative, but it's not necessarily based on someone's real life. It's just sort of like based on the idea of what it would be like as an art student, and here it just really seems more realistic considering it is based on the mangaka's life. Next, I read I'm Kind of Chubby and I'm Your Hero, Volume 1. And this first volume was so cute. Ponjiro is so precious. I feel like I constantly mention how precious a character is, but these series are amazing, and the thing that makes them amazing is the precious characters. I had heard that the next volume, which is volume 2, is the last, so it doesn't require much commitment in terms of collecting. I need to read more series involving sweets. I could go for some sweets now, honestly. But yeah, I'm still on the fence about whether or not I want to get this in my collection. I think I'll try to see if my library has volume 2 so that I can give it a try, and maybe I'll buy it for my collection. But for now, I just think it's a really cute read, and I just want to see how it ends, you know? Considering it is a 2-volume series, how will it end, you know? Next, I read volumes 1, 2, and 3 of A Giant Spider and Me. And honestly, this read was the cutest. I know many of the series that I have read and featured in this are considered, you know, precious and sweet, but Maggie and Asa are so adorable. I normally wouldn't have gotten into this story, but while I was at my library, I figured, why not give it a try? You know, it's right here in front of me. And also, I love the recipes and the art of the food in this series. It's so chill to read. I would highly recommend this series. And I went to the Barnes & Noble app and realized that they only sell volumes 1 and 3. But I definitely do want to try to see if I could find volume 2, because I do want to try to add it to my collection. And you know, it's a chill read. Like, if you want to just read like during a rainy day or a snowy day, it's a good read. And it's only 3 volumes, so it's not much of a commitment either. If there was something that I wasn't very happy about this series, was the fact that I'm still wondering about Nagi's dad. It's like, because of it being a 3-volume series, the plot felt like it was missing something. They really brought up the fact that her dad was sort of MIA, but it wasn't really explained whether or not he was gone, whether he was still alive, whether, you know, he still had a part to play in this series. It still left a lot of things open, but overall it was a pretty great series, and I really liked it. It was a very chill read. You know, it didn't leave me stressed out or anything. So yeah, I'm hoping maybe if I still feel like it, I'll get it for my collection if I could find volume 2, but if not, then I'm fine with it not being in my collection. I know that my library has them now, so I could pretty much just get it from my library and just read it whenever I want. But yeah, next I read volumes 1 and 2 of Sunbeams in the Sky, and I don't know, for some reason I was hesitant about this read. The cover art was cute, so I thought I'd give it a try, you know, considering they're from my library, you know, they're free, I don't have to worry about paying for it, and I liked it. And the story isn't amazing, but it's a cute read. The 3rd volume comes out in November, I believe, so hopefully my library gets the 3rd volume eventually. I heard it's the last volume, so I'm interested in seeing how it ends. I'm surprised I've never seen this series anywhere. It wasn't until after I had read the series that I started seeing it in other people's collections, and I was like, oh wow, this series is pretty out there, and I just never realized it until now. I'm still hesitant about whether or not I'll be adding this to my collection. Like I said, it wasn't really out of this world, and it didn't really catch my attention to the point of where I was like, okay, I really want this in my collection. But yeah, I really enjoyed it though, for the fact that it was at the library and I could just read it whenever I could. And yeah, so that was basically everything that I picked up and read in the month of October. I really enjoyed each of these reads, and I hope that many of you have gotten into these series as well. So please let me know what you read in the month of October, or what you collected in the month of October, and just leave some comments down below, or you can DM me on Instagram and let me know what you read and what you enjoyed and what you started collecting. And yeah, please feel free to leave some recommendations for any volumes or series that you think I should get into, that you think I would like. Please, I would love more recommendations, and I love talking to people about their favorite series and what they've read and what they've started collecting. So yeah, let's talk, let's be friends, let's get to know one another, you know. And I really hope you guys have an amazing day. If you guys would like, please like, comment, subscribe, and push the bell notification button so that you can be notified when I upload next. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.